What's up guys, welcome back. So I recently spent a week targeting wahoo and other blue water species over in the Kingdom of Tonga. This was my first proper blue water spearfishing trip ever and I learned so much. So I thought I'd put together a video discussing what I found worked for me when it came to hunting wahoo. Disclaimer, I am far from a wahoo or blue water expert and simply speaking off my own limited experience. So the first thing I noticed when it came to hunting wahoo was just how effective throw flashes were. And personally, I'd never go targeting wahoo now without one. I'll let this raw footage play out. For context, I just spotted the couple wahoo off in the distance, so immediately threw the flash to where I thought they'd be heading. However, they seemed to be showing more interest in the drop flasher, so I quickly grabbed the throw flasher and threw it closer to their direction. And as you're about to see, worked like a charm. If you're going to be using a throw flasher, I know it's common sense, but always try and grab it or communicate with your buddy prior to the dive to grab each other's if a wahoo is shot. Because in the moment after shooting one, the last thing you want to worry about is having to dive back down and collect it. And rather than firing the fish straight away and putting straight in it, I instead held the float and swam with it, pretty much pushing it through the water. As the day before, I actually lost a massive wahoo due to putting too much pressure on the float line. But I found out after losing it that wahoo have extremely soft flesh. Take note. You can see the moment the fish got off when the bungee goes slack. Anyway, back to the fish. I made sure to play this fish a lot slower and let it run freely and tire out before I even started putting any pressure on it. Fortunately, there were no sharks in the area at the time too, which made landing it much easier as there was no real rush to get the fish in. Line management is always crucial when hunting bigger fish, and when you're pulling in the line, always make sure you're swimming forward or to the side, as if you're just treading water and pulling up the line, it's all just going to bowl up around you, making it a great tangling hazard if the fish were to take off. Even though my shot looked good from above, I made sure to get a confirmation from my buddy before pulling it up, because I'd rather be safe than sorry any day of the week.
Gotcha, bitch!
I don't know what it is about wahoo, but all the ones I landed, I really struggled to get their gills to open up. So any tips would be appreciated.
Hello!
Another thing I really noticed with wahoo was that they responded well to signs of disinterest and minimal eye contact. However, with a lot of fish I found this to be effective too. So what I would try and do if I saw one free swimming was dive down and swim parallel to it, keeping the fish in my peripheral until I could see it was in shooting range. Then I'd quickly extend my gun. Oh, and of course, make sure your bloody safety is off too. This fish was a bit bigger and took off like a rocket and had to race after the float. The breakaway setup that was recommended was a 30-meter float line with 25 foot of bungee connected to a 3-atmosphere float. And I was also running the drop barb shaft. I wouldn't recommend running the bungee for dogtooth tuna though, as you want to have as much control on the fish to keep it off the reef, versus wahoo seem to just run, so the bungee helped to tire it out quicker. However, if there's a lot of sharks in the area and you need to get the fish in quick, I'd say you're better off not running one. Which leads on to the next thing. I found chum worked well in bringing them in, especially if you knew they were already in the area or close by. Just expect it to bring in other predators too, so chum at your own risk. Shot placement, a bit of an interesting one. Leading up to this trip, I was watching tons of wahoo videos, and a lot of the videos were saying that you have the best chance of landing one if you shoot the fish in its back third, which apparently is the ideal holding shot. So when I came across my first wahoo, that's the first thing I recalled, shooting in the back third. In hindsight though, I could have and should have shot it in its head or gill plate, but at the end of the day, it's your choice where you decide to shoot one. In the future though, if I ever get presented with a headshot, I'll be taking out 100% of the time. With that being said, most of the wahoo I landed and saw were shot pretty much bang on the middle of its body, and the shots all seemed to hold reasonably well.
Hell yeah!
So what you don't want to do is chase after wahoo. It's probably the worst thing you can do, and 9 out of 10 times I can't see it working. Poor shot placement on bigger fish, and especially soft flesh fish like wahoo, are very unforgiving. I can tell you for a fact, blue water syndrome is 100% real, and I experienced it firsthand this trip. So if it feels like a long shot in the blue water, you're definitely too far away. A good piece of advice that I was given: when you feel that you're in shooting range, do a few more kicks, then take a shot. There's nothing more heartbreaking than doing everything right and pulling the trigger on a trophy fish just to see the shaft fall short. At the end of the day, wahoo and blue water hunting is a game of patience and time in the water. The more drifts you do, the higher chance of you coming across something special. If you see wahoo in one drift, try and repeat the same drift again, as from what I've heard, wahoo would tend to patrol the same areas. Also expect to see other tasty pelagic species out in the blue. And from my experience, it wasn't super fishy when we were doing our drifts, so you may only have a few opportunities, so make them count. All the best, guys, and I hope whoever watching this gets to taste wahoo, as they're easily now one of my favourite fish to eat of all time. Happy hunting, guys!